Stop recording button. Double tap to activate.
It's Finish It Friday. I'm stitching it my way. Just wanna be sitting with needles and knitting. Hello, hello. It is Finish It Friday. The day where we get to show off our projects, what we've been working on, share our creations with each other. Now, I love that idea. I love seeing what other people are doing. I get ideas, inspiration, so much fun. And hey, on my channel, we just call it show and tell. I mean, really, that's all it is. I'm going to show you my project, and because I'm visually impaired, if you don't know that yet, hi, my name's May. I love to knit and crochet, and I happen to be visually impaired. So, I'm on the internet for many reasons, including to promote accessibility and inclusiveness of people who are visually impaired on the internet. I want people to use their words, describe things, tell me what color it is. Is it cables? Is it lace? Does it have a collar? Is it ribbed? Is it lacy? Is it drapey? Tell me about it. Use your words. So that's what we're gonna do here on this channel. So if you're visually impaired, welcome. But of course, welcome to everybody, whether you knit or crochet or not. Everyone's welcome here. And if you're visually impaired, this video opens with a picture that says, welcome to my channel, spelled out in blue and red yarn. And it will also close with a picture that says, thank you for watching, also spelled out in blue and red yarn. So today's project, what I've been working on this week, ta-da! Are you ready for it to make his debut? Okay, he's been here before, but are you ready?
Dum da dum! Cue the confetti!
No, Mr. Bear, I already said, we're not having confetti. It's too messy. I've been cleaning up confetti for months. Okay, Mr. Bear is naked no more on the internet. Mr. Bear got his sweater. It's a cardi. If you're visually impaired, I did make a video on Monday that asked, two-piece cardi and hat or pick up and knit hoodie. I was trying to make us matching hoodies, but that story's in that video. I'm not gonna retell it. If you want to see it, you can see it. But I did make a mistake on the cast on. Started with a garter stitch long tail. So far, Mr. Bear doesn't have a hoodie. He just has a little garter stitch collar. But if you're blind or visually impaired, it is light blue. It has a garter stitch button band. It has a cable on the right and the left of each side of the button band. It has knit 2, purl 2 ribbing at the bottom, and he has knit 2, purl 2 ribbing on each sleeve. I decided no hood for now. We're just gonna go with the garter stitch collar, but we'll see. I could always change my mind. I could give him a hood later. If you've seen my blue cardi, which has been on this channel numerous times, it's one that I've designed and knit myself. I put pockets on mine because I love pockets. They're so practical. I use them for things like my cough drops. But I mean, really? Does Mr. Bear need cough drops? I don't know. He's eyeing my cough drops. I mean, come on. They're honey lemon, and he's a bear. Of course he'd like to be stashing my cough drops, but then he'd be a sticky mess. So, for now, we're saying no to pockets for Mr. Bear, but I can always add those on later. The finishing touches for Mr. Bear's cardi just happened today. I put 4 light blue buttons on Mr. Bear's cardi. Okay, so here's the question. You say you're visually impaired. How did you know? Well, I have a big bag of blue buttons. For some reason, I saw the deal on Amazon. Now, I do a lot of shopping on Amazon, and I am super happy with almost every purchase I find on there. But occasionally, I do find purchases that I'm not thrilled with. I'm like, maybe that wasn't the best idea. Buying a bag of 600 blue buttons for for somebody who's visually impaired, wasn't the best option for me. Yeah, I had to dump out all 600 on the bed. Wow. And sort through them by feel. I did know what size button I wanted because I did make the button holes myself, so I knew what size I wanted. So it was pretty easy for me to get rid of like at least 550, right? The ones that were way too big, way too small. And then it was a matter of stacking up the buttons that I felt were the right size. And then I literally stacked them on top of each other, checking to see were the exact same diameter? Were they slightly smaller? Were they overlapping? Did they have 4 holes, 2 holes? Were they flat? Did they have a little ridge on it like his? His has like a little ridge on each button on the edge. It was an ordeal. I can honestly say I don't think I'm going to buy a package of 600 blue buttons again because there's so many different shades. But I did know all the buttons in that bag were some shade of blue, but I still didn't know what to do. So once I found 2 different sets of 4 that I thought felt like they matched, then I laid them on the sweater. And well, I'm a child of the 80s and 90s. There used to be like a game show on TV. I think it was called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, maybe? And you could phone a friend. Oh yeah, you could. You could phone a friend. Well, I text a family member. That's what I do. Because I am completely colorblind. If you don't know that yet, if you're new here, I don't see color. I've never seen color. So for me, when I think I got the right color, I still didn't know for sure. Do these match each other? These 4 buttons, do they match each other? And are they a good match for the blue? I don't have any idea. Now, if you don't care if your buttons all match each other or they're cardi, that's totally fine. I'm not here to be the button police at all. If you want your buttons to not match, you do you. But I wanted Mr. Bear's buttons to match. So normally, when I'm trying to figure out, get a little color consultation, I text pictures of the project with the buttons laying on it to my mom and my sister. Get 2 opinions. That's usually what I love to do. Now, for this particular project, I did not text my sister because she's in Scotland right now. She's looking at puffins and Scottish coos. How adorable. I knew she was having fun. I know she loves me. She's often very willing to help me. But she didn't want an overseas text just to talk about Mr. Bear's buttons. I'm sure of that. So we left her out of this decision. But I did text my mom. It was kind of late, like 10:45, but I knew she'd be up. We're both up usually about that time. And she said, don't use the clear buttons. I have 4 that were like a very, very clearish blue. They were in the blue bag, so I assumed they were blue. But she said, I'm not sure they even match each other. I really can't tell. So we went with the blue. So if you're blind or visually impaired, what do you do to match colors? I have to text my family members. I would love to know what other people do who can't see. Let me know your suggestions. I'll be honest with you. I've tried 3, count them 3, different color identifying apps from the App Store. None of them are reliable. I can make a whole nother video talking about color for real. Oh my goodness. So I'm kind of done with the color apps. Do I still use mine sometimes? Of course. But it will literally give me like 8 different color names for the same item. For real. It's frustrating. So I didn't want to take a risk with the color app. For Mr. Bear's buttons, that's too important. So I texted my family members. And my mom said, yeah, use those light blue ones. They work good. So that's step number 1. Now it's about getting the right needle for the buttons. For me, when I work, I really do like to work with a big needle, right? Because I'm visually impaired. It's hard to thread it. It's hard to work with it. So I have really big needles when I like stitch, when I weave in my ends, when seaming, which I try to avoid. I am not a fan of seaming because I'm not good at it. But when I do, I try to use the biggest tapestry needle I can find. So here, blind or visually impaired, I'm holding up a pretty good sized tapestry needle. This is my favorite one. It's metal. I do have some plastic ones, but let's be real. They're flimsy. They break. I have 2. I used to have 3. I've broken one. Yeah, I'm pretty rough on my stuff. So I really do like the metal ones. But this particular metal one, it's so big that when you get out your buttons, so this isn't Mr. Bear's buttons. This is just a little, I think it's one of the leftover buttons from my cardi, right? And it doesn't have, Mr. Bear's has the 4. This doesn't have any holes on the front. It's got the 1 loop on the back. It's nice and big. I love this style of button. But even this one with the 1 loop, what you got to figure out is, do my needles fit through the buttonholes? That's the first thing you got to do when you're figuring it out. Because as much as I love my big needles, that's not gonna work, okay? So that's my first big step. Once I figure it out, that's my first big step, is like, okay, I have to choose a needle that's actually gonna fit, right, into the button. So I do have smaller needles. I don't particularly care to work with them except for things like buttons. So that's what you gotta do next. This is still for a sewing needle. It's still fairly good sized. I don't care for it, but does it fit through the button? Yes, it does. So that's really what you gotta do next, is find yourself a needle that's gonna fit right through your buttonhole. So sometimes I go through that whole ordeal as well. And it's an ordeal, trust me, around here some days. So, I lost the lid to that. Okay, there it is. So once we do that, then it becomes a matter of, oh, there's more buttons, of figuring out, what am I going to use for thread? Now, most people, they use sewing thread. Sewing thread is very fine. And I do have sewing thread. I have it in multiple colors. That's the next color dilemma, right? I want a sewing thread that's going to look good on the button and the project and the sweater. I don't want one that's going to clash. I could text my mom 20 pictures of 20 different samples of thread. Would she respond to me? Probably. But I mean, it's family, but really, they don't really want to deal with that. So one thing that I often do is I take a scrap of leftover yarn from the project. Now, I have a scrap of yarn here. It is not leftover from Mr. Bear's sweater, but you'll see that Mr. Bear's buttons are sewn on with the exact same color as his sweater. And you might be thinking, how did you do that if you're colorblind? Well, I just used some of the yarn from Mr. Bear's sweater. But this particular scrap is just a scrap of yarn, which is why I'm using it. I don't want to waste yarn for this. So I have a scrap of a cotton linen yarn. It is swan, which is off-white. So that's usually what I do. On both of these yarns, the swan yarn in my hand and Mr. Bear sweater, were both made with a number 3 DK weight 8-ply yarns. Well, an 8-ply yarn's a little bit big, even for my big needle. So one of the things that I usually like to do is to separate my yarn plies, and you can totally do that. You can start untwisting and unplying your yarn, and that's exactly what I did for Mr. Bear's sweater. I just cut out a little piece of my yarn and started untwisting and unraveling it. Now with the 8-ply yarn, you probably only want to twist it, unravel it into half. That's just my honest opinion and experience. I have tried unplying into one strand or two even, and at that point, let's just be real, it starts to get really, really fragile, and even your plies will literally start coming apart. They will. I've had that happen where they literally just disintegrate in your hands, especially with cotton yarn. This is cotton linen blend. The linen does add some strength, but even this yarn will start to disintegrate if you break it down into just one ply or two plies even. So if you split it in half, you're going to get 4 plies. And that should be good enough, and it should fit. What you have to make sure is that, yes, it will fit through my needle, it will fit through my buttonholes, but it should. A 4-ply, which is a #1 fingering weight yarn. That's really about what you want. I don't need a big sample of that at all for what we're doing. So that's what I do. So if you're wondering how somebody who's colorblind can figure out, and mostly blind, how in the world do you match your buttons? Well, I phone a friend. And if you're wondering how'd she match that color? She uses her yarn. Yeah, that's that simple. All kinds of tips and strategies and things that I do. And to thread my needle, I use this handy little tool called a needle threader. If you've watched any of my videos before, you've probably heard me mention my maternal grandmother. She knit, she crocheted, she sewed, she did embroidery. She taught me to do embroidery and sew on buttons. My grandmother was the person who taught me how to sew on buttons. No, she taught me how to do embroidery. I had more sight when a child. I've always been legally blind, but I did have more sight. And she taught me how to embroidery. But she had to thread my needles. And well, you run out of thread. And then I needed her to thread it again. Or I just pulled my needle off my thread because I was like 6 or something when she taught me how to do it, okay? So she did help me a lot, but she also knew I needed to know how to do that myself. Grandma wasn't always there. She knew that. So she introduced me to this handy little tool. If you don't know what this is or you can't see it, it's a needle threader. So handy. If you have problems at all with threading your needle due to vision issues or dexterity issues, fine motor coordination issues, needle threaders, they'll totally get it done. You can buy them on the Amazon. I do recommend that. I don't recommend buying 600 blue buttons if you're visually impaired. What was I thinking? But I do recommend the needle threader. It is metal. It's kind of circular on the bottom. And then at the top, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a very, very thin wire. It's like a wire loop and it's pointy on the top. And so you have a sharper end on your sewing needle and you've got a broader, wider end that has your loop. And you simply, the iron, you simply want to put that, you want to feel the point at the very top. There's a loop on the needle threader. There's a point at the top of the wire. And you simply want to put your eye of your needle through the point on the needle threader. That's it. That's what you got to do. And then you want to take your, hope I can do this now. Might not be able to. You want to take your yarn or your string or whatever. If you want to use sewing thread and you can manage it, by all means. I do like to use the yarn because I think it's stronger. I think it holds the buttons on better. But you want to stick that through the loop on the top of your needle threader. And then you take your needle and you pull it off of the yarn that's looped through the top of your needle threader. And then you take the yarn that is still through the loop at the top of the needle threader, you pull it out, and voila, my needle is threaded. That's how you thread a knitting needle or sewing needle, excuse me, when you can't see what the heck you're doing. My grandma taught me that when I was like 6. Genius, right? And then for me, she taught me how to tie my knots. I just take the end of my yarn, I drape it over the top of the needle where the eye is, and then you just wrap multiple times. I don't know, 8, 9, however big of a knot you want. And then you pull it down to the end. And voila, voila, voila. You got a nice big knot at the end. So that's how I learned how to thread needles. That's the tricks and tips and tools that I use. And that's what this channel's about. Showing you about tools that I use as a visually impaired person. And showing you some of the tips and tricks that I use. So tools that I use. Needle threaders, tips and tricks. Text a family member. I mean, they love you, right? You can text them important stuff like Mr. Bear's buttons. Hey, he's my mom's grandbear. She knows that's important. I don't have children. My parents don't have grandchildren. Neither my sister or I had children. I had 3 guide dogs, but I don't have one anymore. When I had my guide dogs, my parents were super proud of them, okay? I have black and tan German Shepherds. My mom had pictures of them, big pictures of them, framed in her office. She showed them off all the time. She was so proud of them. Well, I don't have a guide dog now. So all she has is Mr. Bear. So of course she wanted to help me with Mr. Bear's sweater. So that's what I do. I text my family members. And then I just use the same yarn. So I don't have to worry about texting them 20 pictures of different threads, trying to find the right match. And this was sewn up. These buttons are sewn on. I think the yarn makes it, I'm pulling on it. If you're blind, I'm pulling on Mr. Bear's buttons. The yarn makes it really tight. Really, really tight in there. So they're not going to come off easily at all. And that's important to me. I mean, you never know what kind of mischief Mr. Bear could get into. So that's what I do. And that's what I really want to do on this channel, is help out anybody who might be having difficulties with crafting, with sewing, with quilting. Anybody who's got some vision issues, I want to say, yeah, you can. You can still do that. You can. A few little simple tools, a few little simple tips, a few little simple tricks. Of course you can do this. So, if you're blind or visually impaired, I would love to hear from you. Of course, I'd love to hear from anybody. What do you think of Mr. Bear's sweater? Is it done? Does he need a hood? Does he need pockets? Now that Mr. Bear is decent, do you want to see more of him on YouTube? I like Mr. Bear. But if you're blind or visually impaired, do you use needle threaders? Do you not? Do you have other tips or tricks that you use? What do you do for color? I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from anybody. Say hello in the comment section. Let me know where you're watching from. You know, like country, state. Please don't put your address in. I don't want that, and I don't want that on the internet. Keep that private. But you can say what state you're from. I'm in Washington State, Pacific Northwest. Still pretty cool and chilly here for the most part. My parents got daffodils and tulips, but it's not that warm here yet, where I'm at. But this is for Finish It Friday. So let me know what you're up to. You got plans for the weekend? Are you traveling? Are you seeing family? Are you doing yard work yet or not yet? Are you just doing laundry and sleeping? Well, 1923 is over, so I don't know if I'll be indulging any TV or not. I don't know yet. I'm sure I'll find something to entertain me. So thanks so much for stopping by and hanging out with me and Mr. Bear. And remember, creativity is for everyone, no matter your age or abilities or what society considers disabilities. Whether you see, or you're like me and you don't see so much, or you don't see at all, it's okay. Creativity is for everybody. Whether you knit, or crochet or sew or quilt or beading or sculpting or painting. Whatever you do, today is a great day to craft and create. Creativity is for you. So let me know what you're working on in the comment section. Let me know if you're crocheting a shawl. Say hello, but for now, I'm going to say bye-bye.